But I want to talk today about why moms should train like an athlete, even if they aren't one. There's this quote by Tim Noetke. It says, "Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard." Hey there, I'm Ashley, mom of 4 and creator of Reps and Redemption. Join me as I share my passion for health education, explore all things fitness and nutrition, plus share a little faith-filled homemaking along the way. If you're a mom ready to build strength and live a life of epic redemption, this podcast is for you. Let's get after it. Many moms think of exercise as just moving or getting our steps in, but I do believe that there is a better way. When we train like an athlete, that doesn't necessarily mean spending hours in the gym. After all, I don't know about you, but I don't have hours to spend in the gym every day, although sometimes that sounds kind of nice. I think the better way is being intentional with your time and your effort. I'm going to give you some examples in this episode today on gaining a structured training approach, something that can benefit you as a mom physically, mentally, and in your walk of faith. And I want us all to apply this athlete's mindset to everyday life. Even if you don't compete in sports, I can see how practical strategies when applying this type of mindset will help you train like an athlete today. And there's some things that we can do practically on top of that to get moving. So in the first segment, if you will, that I want to talk about shifting our mindset from just staying active to training with intention. So a lot of us moms, and I did this for a while as well, we approach fitness, I don't want to say the wrong way, but not quite with a target in mind. So we fall into the trap of thinking, I just need to move more. I don't have time for a real workout. I'm not an athlete, so I don't need to train like one. And the problem here is there's a lack of structure. And when there's a lack of structure, there is a lack of progress, because random workouts, for example, lead to random results. You don't really know what's working and what's not. I'm very guilty of this one myself. I tend to track a lot of my workouts, a lot of my food, and then there will be some days or weeks where I don't, and I don't know exactly where my success or lack thereof is coming from. Is it from my lack of sleep? Is it from my lack of protein intake? Is it from not lifting heavy enough? So getting that down into a plan, even if it's just on your phone in a Google Doc. And then another really misstep that a lot of moms make is too much cardio and not enough strength training. Again, cardio is not bad. It's actually really good for you in moderation. But at this point in our lives, we really need to strength train. It's something that we need to do for longevity, for our bone health. There's just so many reasons and over 100 episodes on this channel of why we need to lift weights. When we are focusing on burning calories instead of building strength and function, we tend to want to do more cardio, and we think that it's going to be a better return for our effort. But that is not usually the case. So what does it mean to train like an athlete? Well, to me personally, this means I am going in to train with a purpose instead of just going to work out. I've said on the show several times before and in interviews with other people that my goal is to hit a peak of athleticism in my fitness lifestyle, my routine. And it's just something that I have that is a personal goal of mine. And recently I've been asked why. And what does that mean for me? Well, athletes tend to focus on progression. So getting stronger, more skilled, or improving something over time. I have a lot of things that I want to focus on with progression. So I will give you an example right now about I'm going to be working on for the next several weeks my pull-up count. So I really went in with a goal of hitting 10 this last month. I've only hit 7. Pull-ups are tough. They're not easy. And if they were, everyone could do it, right? So that is my progression. That's one of my focus, like as an athlete, as trying to perform like an athlete and train on purpose. I am going to work on things that help me attain the goal of reaching 10 pull-ups, where I can randomly just put up a pull-up bar in my house and do 10 pull-ups whenever I feel like it, preferably on a daily basis. So that's just an example. Athletes also focus on recovery. That is something that I have struggled with so much. And when I say training with purpose over the last 6 to 8 months, maybe a year, that is something that I am starting to even still understand. I started understanding it about a year ago when I started training jiu-jitsu about a year and a half ago. And I pushed so hard and so intense just because I love it so much. But then I hit a wall and I was just wiped. And not just with jiu-jitsu, but lifting, parenting, homeschooling. I was just not focusing on recovery. And athletes actually focus on, like I just said before in the previous point, progression, recovery. So that's understanding rest, nutrition, mobility. So all of these things make up recovery. Am I eating correctly for the goals that I have for my body? Am I moving my body correctly? Am I getting enough rest? Not necessarily sleep, but am I taking days or a couple of days during the week? Maybe it's, for me, it's Thursday and Sunday are usually days that I don't work out. I don't have a plan, but if I do feel like going on a jog, or if I catch a lighter training class, something like that, I'll go do it. If my body, I listen to my body. So the third thing that athletes focus on is mindset. So overcoming obstacles and pushing through challenges. I think this kind of came up when I started my jiu-jitsu journey, and then, pairing it with my other fitness goals and lifting weights. This is a challenging sport. I've never been so mentally and physically challenged and then fully energized and fully drained, like all at the same time. But I've also understood too, you can't really go into this sport with a haphazard, okay, let's just see, and we'll both just roll or we'll do whatever. You kind of have to have a purpose. And maybe, for me, my first initial purpose was don't die. Essentially, don't get choked, don't get submitted, or, try your defenses, any defenses that I know, to get out of very, very bad positions and just get into the next best bad position, if that makes sense. But training like an athlete, they focus on overcoming these obstacles. And then there's been so many times in the gym and on the mat in jiu-jitsu where it's just tough. I don't want to go back. Sometimes my 7-year-old complains about training. We have her training 2 days a week, 2 kid classes a week, once in a while 3, but just we're in this season of some things are changing and we're like, okay, you need to go to 2 a week. And that's really great. I mean, I wish she wanted to go more, and on the weeks we can take her a third time, we do. But, she says, I don't want to go, I don't feel like it. And then when she's there, she's having a blast. I can't even get her off the mat. She really works hard when she feels like it. But I said to her the other day, I was getting ready for jiu-jitsu, and she was saying how she didn't want to go. And I was like, Azariah, I don't want to go. I really, I'm going to be honest. My body kind of hurts, but it's one of my only training sessions of the week. And I would prefer to put my pajamas on and cuddle up and watch a movie. But I'm going to push through this because it's good for me, because it's something that I know I need to do. This week I'm only training. I think that week is only training 3 times that week. When I say training, I'm talking jiu-jitsu only. This is not really counting my other fitness activities. And she was like, what? You don't want to go? Because she knows how much I love it. And I was like, no, I don't always want to go. I have to make myself go. And overall, as an athlete, and they have to push themselves all the time. That I don't believe there's any athlete out there that wants to train every single session that they train. So when we push through as a mom, our daily life is physically and mentally demanding. So why not train in a way that helps us show up stronger for our own families. Sometimes I like to think, when my husband and I have done the cold plunge in the morning and it's absolutely freezing, and I have a blood circulation, not issue, but what your blood and your body does is the blood and warmth and all of that rushes to your organs. So it leaves your hands and your feet. And my feet hurt so bad in this thing. And I think I could do it longer if it wasn't so unbelievably cold and painful for my hands and feet. But then my husband and I talk about how if that's the hardest thing we've done all day, I think we're winning here. It's pretty good for us to push through these things that we don't really want to do, but we know that it's good for us. Now, the second part is the benefits of structured training for moms. So there's a couple physical benefits. There's strength, longevity, and resilience. When we train like an athlete, as a mom, this helps us build a functional strength for lifting our kids, groceries, our household tasks. Sometimes I am more sore after cleaning my house on a big cleaning day, putting a lot of laundry away, doing a bunch of scrubbing, that sort of thing. I'm more sore from that sometimes than I am from my actual workouts. It also improves mobility and flexibility, helps prevent injury. We're going to maintain our muscle, our bone density, and this is absolutely important for aging well. And this actually increases our energy levels, and we have fewer midday crashes. So if you have any really nugget from this section of the physical benefits, strength, longevity, and resilience, I think the strength is absolutely important. Longevity, that's for our life, right? But the resilience to keep going and to do these hard things really make us a better mom and help us really be put to the test. And not that we want to be, but it helps us show up in a better, clearer mind, if you will. And then also we feel accomplished as well. And I think it's important, especially for if you're a stay-at-home mom like myself, feeling accomplished is important. I know that sometimes there's those feelings that are like, what am I doing with my life? I went to college, or maybe you didn't, but you had dreams of doing something and you kind of laid that down and wanted to do this motherhood thing as well. But sometimes we lose ourselves in it, and I think it's good and maybe not so great. So having some sort of achievement driven goal, purpose, and then making it about our health, I think you cannot go wrong with that, right? Another benefit too in the mental aspect is our confidence, our discipline, our grit. When we have structured training, this will help teach us discipline and consistency. I just said it in the last section, showing up even when we don't feel like it. Mental resilience, we push through these challenges in workouts, and that translates through to our life. It gives us confidence when we see ourselves get stronger. It spills over into motherhood and decision making, and it helps us better manage stress. Training can be a powerful outlet for emotional health. I don't know about you, but when I'm able to get to the gym, which is now probably 3 days a week, sometimes 4, and I get to check my kids into the kids club, and maybe it's been a rough morning. Maybe my 3-year-old refused to put clothes on for an hour. I mean, you name it. Or the homemade sourdough pancakes that I made for breakfast were not good. You get it. This helps us just get to the place where we get an hour to ourselves and we just lift something heavy and we just sweat. And it takes our mind off of all the things we need to get done at home. It helps us really get our act together a little bit. At least for me it does, but I have friends that would definitely agree. There's also spiritual benefits when it comes to structured training. So honoring God with our body and our effort. When we train with intention, This aligns with stewarding our body well. We overcome challenges in fitness, and it reflects how we should persevere in our faith. Our self-discipline is, in training mirrors spiritual disciplines like prayer and Bible study and obedience. I think this is a really big one for the moms and myself, that we are women of faith. I believe in the Lord Jesus as God's one and only Son. He died for my sins, for yours, for our kids, for our families. I believe in this truth, this absolute truth. And I do see that a lot of us can magnify other things outside of our health, and I think that it serves us well as women of faith to prioritize our health. I think it speaks volumes to the younger generation. And when I point this out, you have to keep in mind, I have an adult daughter who is in music ministry. She is a beautiful, gifted singer. I call her a vocalist, and I know that God has an anointing on her life. I am so proud of her. And as much as I want her to, number one, have a personal relationship with Jesus, and obviously be intentional with her time with her family, also, I believe it's her utmost wise choice and priority to put her health in those top 3 things as well. Because I see a lot of that letting ourselves, quote, go due to service of others or serving of things that are outside of our immediate relationship with the Lord and our family. And I don't believe that that is necessarily the best way to do it. I want to see women of faith just really strong, physically, mentally, emotionally, and tough. I think there's something to be said for that. I want to encourage you in that way with saying this, taking care of yourself. It's not selfish. It is necessary to serve your family well and to serve your church well. And then in our third segment, and I guess I could say section of this episode, how to apply an athlete's mindset to our busy mom life. So we're going to train with a goal in mind. I've said this a couple times throughout this podcast and also in the last several episodes. Athletes don't just wake up and say, okay, I'm going to work out aimlessly, and they train. Instead, they train with a specific goal in mind. So ask yourself, what do I want to improve? I ask myself this probably every day, but I have to stay focused. I can go start bouncing around and try to do everything, and trust me, it's not possible. So ask yourself, do you want to improve your strength, your endurance, your mobility? Do you want to lose fat? So instead of just exercising more or saying, I'm going to go work out, aim to increase your deadlifts, for example, or like in my case, master your pull-ups or improve your stamina. I would definitely say with training jiu-jitsu has improved my stamina tenfold, and I never really thought that I was maybe, I could always get in better shape, but I always thought I was fairly fit until I started jiu-jitsu. So if there's something that you've been wanting to try, something new, I invite you to give it a go and start to get in the best shape of your life. There's always that. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask me. And for me, I try to pick, one focus, 1 to 2 really with jiu-jitsu, and then 1 to 2 in my fitness. So like I said, I'm trying to master pull-ups, and then I want to increase the size on my legs. So really from the waist down, I'm trying to build my glutes, legs. It's kind of all in one. But I'm really focusing on that. So I am lifting heavier, and I do need to get my nutrition on point, meaning I need to eat way more than I have in the last 48 hours. So that's just an idea, but you also have to, so that was the first one, train with a goal in mind. Number 2, this is like step 2, prioritize strength training. Strength training is your foundation for athleticism and longevity. So let's say you only have 3 or 4 days a week to prioritize lifting weights. Here's an example of something you could do. Like, it's simple weekly split for moms, and I hope this helps, but we'll do a 3-day kind of workout type thing. But day 1, you're going to do lower body. So this is your first day that you are able to hit the gym with intention and a purpose. Now, how you lift, how many sets, how many reps, if you do cardio before or after, that all depends on your goal, your specific purpose and your goal. But here we go. Day 1, lower body, squats, deadlifts, lunges. There's so many other workouts. I love walking kettlebell lunges. There's side lunges. There's so many that you can add into lower body. But you're going to do 2 to 3 specific, like, big movement exercises. Day 2, upper body. So like pull-ups, push-ups, presses. Day 3, conditioning. You're going to use kettlebells. You'll sprint or do the stairs. You can do some circuit training. And then you're just going to repeat that cycle the following week. Now, this would change, obviously, if you have more days you can hit the gym or hit the gym in your garage, whatever that looks like. And then also keep in mind, your schedule is going to look completely different than mine. I don't know of a mom currently, maybe one that does 2 a days a couple times a week, and it's not for the faint of heart, but she loves it like me, so it's normal for us. Number 3, use recovery and nutrition like an athlete. Here we go. Here's where my conviction steps in. Sleep. There we go. Hydration and nutrition. These are just as important as your actual workout. Your post-workout nutrition. You need to fuel well to perform well. And protein is crucial for recovery and also building muscle. You're going to have active recovery days, such as walking or mobility work and stretching. The 4th step to help you train like an athlete, even if you aren't one, is to set your mind up for success. So we're going to mindset shifts for training like an athlete. So the first point here is show up even when it's hard and even when you don't feel like it. You're going to measure progress, not just weight loss, but your strength, endurance, and energy. So you're going to want to maybe write down what you lifted, or I guess for me, like in jiu-jitsu, basically I would say, okay, I'm going to do 2 5-minute rounds, and I'm going to really push myself. Okay, maybe we're going to do a 10-minute round and see how long I can last, but not push too hard so I can last the full 10 minutes. So there's certain goals that you have that's specific to you. So you're going to want to measure in a way that makes sense to you and that you can remember. So if you can write it down in a notebook or use Google Keep or Notepad on your phone, that would work too. Just remember where you put it. You want to think long term. So train for lifelong health and not just short term results. We want to, this is a good example for this is I've said this before. I started lifting weights when I was 16. I've learned a lot since then. I have tried a lot of things. And then with adding in, and I played college softball, all the things, sports and all of that. And I added in jiu-jitsu almost a year and a half ago now. And I realized probably maybe 2 months ago, so not too recent, like really recently, it took a while, but I love it so much and it challenges me so much and I hate it, and it's all these things that I can't really explain. And I also see a lot of physical changes for the good with it. I've definitely seen a larger amount, I guess, of leaning out and fat loss because it's an intense sport. But I've also started to take into consideration the long-term effects of grappling other people. And not just that, but even the warm-ups and just all the things. So short-term results, would be training like I was 4, 5, 6 days a week, training jiu-jitsu that much, and then lifting, and then mothering, and then homeschooling. It's so much on the body. It's really hard on the body if you don't recover. And I want to be able to train in my 40s and my 50s and my 60s and my 70s. I don't want to get injured easily or quickly. I don't want to overtrain, even though I would probably be there twice a day if I didn't have responsibilities and other things to do and other things that I really truly want to do. So long term, I'm going to train for lifelong health. So what that looks like for me is 3 to 4 strength training days per week and 2 to 3 jiu-jitsu classes a week. Whereas I was going every day, 6, 7 days a week, everything, sometimes 2 or 3 times. It was crazy. Okay. So I am aiming for lifelong health here, not just short-term success, short-term results. And when I was training like that, I will tell you that some of my children also copied me and we just burned ourselves out. So I want to be a good example as well. And the mats are always there, and so is the gym. So we need to find joy in this process, because athletes train because they love the challenge, not just the outcome. I guess I would have to agree that the joy is in the journey for sure, because I really do love where I'm at physically, and I know that I can improve even more with building strength and more muscle definition. And I'm at about 16% body fat. I'd like to get down to see if I can maintain it, and if not, slowly put it back on. I love trying these things and kind of biohacking my own body and just seeing what works with the right things in the right place. So my final thoughts, I'm going to recap the main takeaways. I want to say and remind us, let's shift from just moving to training with a purpose. And training like an athlete benefits our body, our mind, and our faith. Small changes in structure, our mindset, and consistency can make a big difference. I want to encourage you that you do not have to be a professional athlete to train with intention. If we train with a purpose, it's going to help us show up stronger for our family and for God. So I want to challenge you to set a specific fitness goal for the next month. That would be March, the rest of March. Set a goal and share it with me on Instagram at AshRepsRedemption, Ash's Reps and Redemption. I'll put it in the show notes because I don't even remember my name. It's hard for me to keep up with all those Instagram things, but I'm trying. So let me know what you're going to focus on. You can always email me as well, and I'd love to hear from you. I hope this episode has encouraged you, inspired you to be more intentional with your workouts and with the goals that you do have. And as I am learning that less is actually a little bit more, especially when we have a purpose and intention ready to go and a target, if you will, that we are aiming for. Please leave a review on Reps and Redemption podcast. I would greatly appreciate that. And I believe that's all I have for you today. So until next time. If this episode inspired you, will you share with a friend? Remember, this podcast offers health education tips and holistic insights. Please consult healthcare professionals for personalized advice. Until next time, Mama, be bold and live well.